for all of us. As people who are studying road safety, we have read so many of your articles, summarized them, watched your videos, and it's really exciting to be talking to you today. We'd love to ask you, for 5 decades now, we've been talking about human error as being the cause of the crashes that we're seeing, the causes of the injuries and the fatalities that we're seeing. How would is this approach working, and how would we get the kind of desired outcomes we want if it hasn't been working this far?
So maybe let me begin with by answering your last question first, which is this approach working? And clearly our data shows that it is not working, because we have been increasing both total number of crashes and the number of deaths per 100,000 population also has been increasing. So clearly the approach has not worked. But let me give you a little background on where this whole idea of human approach is coming. This is coming from police reports, because crashes are investigated by police as a law and order problem, as a criminal problem. And our earlier Indian Penal Code was to determine who is at fault, because the cases go to the court and they had to resolve that. But almost 70-80 years back, experts working in traffic safety understood that this is not what is required to reduce the number of crashes. If we are looking at approaches where the total number of crashes as well as deaths and injuries can be reduced, we have to understand it very differently. And that is when the understanding comes that humans are likely to make mistakes, no matter how much training is given to that person. As a driver, you have during licensing, you have to go through training, you can get additional training, but that does not mean that you will not end up having any crash in your life. The process which leads to crash, there are multiple factors involved. You could be tired, which is a very human thing. The road could be differently designed, or there are mistakes in the road design that is leading to certain driving behavior. So today it is understood by experts that the driving behavior is mostly influenced by the way we design our environment. The structure of the environment, the design of the environment, how wide the lane is, how the shoulders of the road is designed, how the intersection is designed, this is what is affecting our driving behavior. Whether we drive slow or fast is because primarily of this reason. So now if we go back to the fundamental cause, quote unquote, that everybody is talking about, is that it's human error. True, it is human error, but having human error is not surprising, that is expected. So there are two aspects to be understood here. Human error is being also caused because of the environment we have designed. And second, we know that no matter what training, enforcement, whatever we do, some people are still likely to make that error. What should be done then? The whole theory and principle of Vision Zero, which says that sometime in future we should have 0 deaths on the road and 0 serious injuries. That does not mean that there will not be any crashes. There will be crashes, but people should not get into serious injuries and deaths. And how that can be achieved? By designing our roads and environment in such a way that when that person makes a mistake, a driver dozes off for a fraction of a second and the vehicle goes off the carriageway, there are features in the road that will contain the vehicle. The vehicle will not roll over, and the kinetic energy of the vehicle will be managed in such a way that it comes down to the levels that the human body can tolerate. And through various aspects of science, biomechanics, understanding of crashes, understanding of human body, impact analysis, we do know what are those levels that human body can tolerate. This is the fundamental principle today which is guiding the design of vehicles and which is guiding the design of safe roads. So back to this, human error it originates because of police reporting system, which is okay because at that point they have to take it to the court. However, as the safe community, people who are interested in saving lives, not today, future and many generations to come, we have to look into this other aspect of it. Humans will make errors, understand the fundamental causes, how those number one errors can be reduced by changing the physical environment, and number two, why the severity of that error can be reduced, again going back to by changing the design of the environment.
It's so upsetting to hear that we knew this 8 years ago, that we could have saved all that suffering that has happened all these years. But it's also so hopeful that we know it now and we can still do it, which leads me to the next question about the future. I mean, the Indian government has said that we want to reduce crash fatalities by 50% in 2030. Now, it's increasing every year by 10%. So how do you think we can get to that reduction of 50%?
So making targets and announcing targets is very good, especially quantitative targets. However, they can only be achieved if there is a lot of evidence and science behind it. And by that I mean that our data shows in India, majority of the people who die, they are outside the cars. So they are motorized two-wheeler riders and they are pedestrians and bicyclists, people who are not protected by any metal around it. So if we need to achieve any targets, 50% reduction by 2030, our priority has to be these three: people outside the car, motorized two-wheelers, pedestrians and bicyclists. How can it be done? So some aspects we do know, some strategies which have given benefits in other countries, it's working. So our first priority is to address those, and that is for motorized two-wheelers we have 2-3 very immediate strategies, which is basically for motorized two-wheelers we have much better compliance of helmets and much better compliance of the other one which has already been done by Government of India, that daylight running lights. And all new motorcycles, because of that law now, when you turn on the ignition, there is automatically the headlight comes on. These two are known strategies. However, the way a motorized ownership and usage is increasing and helmet compliance remains very tough. We have been doing, and I think we should continue to focus on that through technology, through better enforcement, how we can improve compliance. But now the time has come that we have to look at other strategies. How can we think of better infrastructure? Can we think of other methods of reducing speeds of motorized two-wheelers? And more importantly, can we think of alternate modes? Is it possible that children who are being carried on motorcycles, who are completely exposed and highly vulnerable, can we understand the compulsions of those families and think of other alternatives? Because if you look at motorized two-wheelers, the rider, the driver and the pillion rider are completely exposed. On high speed roads, if there is a crash, there is very little one can do. Helmet is only 30% effective if worn correctly. So I think we need to do a lot of detailed work on understanding what other strategies are required to reduce motorized two-wheeler crashes. This has never been a problem like this to this quantum in Western countries. So this kind of research and understanding will not come from those countries, and this is where we need to invest our own resources to understand. That's number one. Second, for pedestrians, extremely important, and these pedestrians are also public transport users. So how we ensure safe pedestrian? We do know some strategies that are very effective. Number one is speed control of motorized vehicles, proper infrastructure for pedestrians, which includes footpaths wherever it's required, which includes safe crossing facilities. Now these are all known things. I think the time has come to question ourselves, why are we not able to implement it? The guidelines exist. Indian Roads Congress has very detailed guidelines on this, but implementing authorities, the road owning agencies and traffic regulators, traffic police, is the problem there to convince that certain roads there is no other option but to reduce speeds. And speed reduction also includes strategies which are more effective for speed reduction, for example introducing physical measures, speed humps, changing of the texture, narrowing of the roads. So I think like a vaccine, we have to introduce this in our both urban and rural areas. This is introducing speed calming measures, speed control measures throughout the country, appropriate speed calming measures, is like vaccination for this disease which is a man-made disease. I think that has to be done as a top priority. And once you control speeds, it is going to be effective in reducing not only pedestrian crashes, all other crashes, because your severity of crash is dependent on the speed. Speed is basically kinetic energy, and it's the amount of energy which is transferred to human body causes the damage. So this understanding that we need appropriate speed, first of all we decide what is an appropriate speed. There is enough scientific evidence available. Places which are close to schools, because children are unpredictable, they are very vulnerable, we have to reduce the speed to 20 kilometers per hour. And you cannot use this argument that this is a highway or this is a state highway. We cannot. No. I think the lives of our citizens is much more important. And remember, it's kind of an irreversible process. Once you lose a life, it's not going to come back. So we have to take this very seriously. And if we have pedestrians present on our state highways, on our intercity highways, we will have to relook at the speeds, because at the moment we are not able to come up with very effective other measures. And as I said, the most effective strategy for controlling speed, of course we have to include technology for enforcement, speed compliance, but introducing physical measures in small rural roads, near junctions, in urban areas, this is going to be really effective. And we have to take this as a topmost priority, policy level, having several discussions with our regulatory agencies, with our road owning agencies, explaining why these kind of measures are required. And actually, in fact, your Vision Zero states that mobility cannot be at the cost of safety. Human life is too precious. I think the time has come that now we are killing more than nearly 2 lakh. Actually 168,000, the number which came out last year, is little underestimate. So this is, the statistic shows that every day we kill about 420 people on our roads. This should not be acceptable. And the only way we will be able to address it, when we accept that we cannot have mobility or economic development at the cost of safety. We will have to look these two aspects very carefully and how you integrate it.
The only human error that we can really talk about is us as a society, and it just gives me goosebumps to think that how well decision makers listen to you will set so many fates and lives beside the fate of so many lives. And let's just hope that it works. Coming to more short-term goals, what would you love to see as the outcomes of this conference to pave the way for better outcomes in 5 years?
This is the 15th edition of this World Injury Conference, and I think one of the unique aspect of this conference is that it brings together people working in different aspects of injury, occupational injury, drowning, suicides, all unintentional injuries, and road traffic happens to be one of them. So there is a common theme that runs, and there is a lot to learn from other fields of injury which is applicable in road traffic and vice versa. So all theoretical understanding shows, and I think the Vision Zero is based on that. It is natural for human beings to make error. Accept it, and then we look at our interventions. Now, I think from this conference we have an opportunity, because the conference is being attended by practitioners, by policymakers, as well as experts and researchers. So these 2-3 different stakeholders are coming together. Of course, there is a large number of non-governmental organizations or civil society groups who work with users very closely. So all different stakeholders coming together, and this is giving us an opportunity to understand each other. You know, as experts we have a lot of knowledge. How do we communicate if the people who are making policies and implementing safety measures, they still have trouble understanding the fundamental principles of Vision Zero, or how do we design safer systems. So I think what I really want to see come out of this conference is that if we can bridge this communication gap a better, and as experts we understand the barriers that practitioners are facing, and practitioners understand the theoretical part and scientific understanding and evidence which is coming out to address safety issues. We will be successful if we are narrowing the gap a little bit, and I think we continue to work towards that.
Thank you so much, Professor Geetam. This was great.
Thanks.
I really hope we can get more people to listen to you, and right people, and we can get the outcome we want.
Thank you. Thank you.